All right, Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Yashai broke a thumb to the brothers that are in the class and are watching online. To the sisters, Yahweh Shemar thumb Bashim Yashai. I'm Priest and Officer Shargapan of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, which started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, since 1969, right? And under Commanding General YAHANNA, who's been leading this school as the best way any brother in the truth can lead it. We've been teaching that so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans are the real children of Israel, that they make up the 12 tribes of Israel that you read about from Genesis all the way to Revelations, whether it's the Apocrypha, which is actually part of the Bible, is not a separate book, whether it's the history that you read about in other books that you can come across, like Black Indians or Nature Knows No Color Lines. You'll witness that Israelites have been written about all throughout history and other people's civilizations, especially right here in this Bible. So today is the Wednesday class, which is tailored to specifically law. And right now we're going to go into everything regarding graven images, everything regarding idols, everything regarding false gods, all right? So what I would like for you all to do is turn to the book of Leviticus, that's in the Old Testament, the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 1. All right, I'll give you all a few moments to get there. The book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 1. Whenever one of you brothers got it, you can read it, right? Just make sure your mic is on. Go ahead.
Oh, Akim and Aquav have it.
When he says that, he's asking all the brothers and of all the sisters, I have turned to that particular part of the Bible. So when he asks, the response would be Khan, which means yes, all right? What you said, brother? Yes, the first number is the chapter. The next number is the actual verse. You got it? So are you right now 19? You want to go to Leviticus, the book of Leviticus. If you need help, what you would do is go to the front of the Bible. So turn to the front page of the Bible, turn to the next page until you see the index. You'll be able to see all the books that are in the Bible. From Genesis to Revelations, right there, sis. That's right. That page tells you right there. You want to go to Leviticus, is one of the first 5 books written by Moses or authorized by Moses. Leviticus, you want to go to that page, and then you want to slowly find chapter 19. All right? You're welcome. It's great to have an index. It tells you exactly what you're looking for, what page to go to. So once you find the book of Leviticus, you'll find the page number. Content, that's fine. Content index. You see the different Bible books in there. Genesis. Abadi, can you help the brother out, please? All right, so we're going to go to the book of Leviticus. Once you find that book and page number, you want to keep turning until you see chapter 19. All right. So Leviticus chapter 19, verse 1. Brother, can you read?
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying.
So right here, we're getting instructions. We're about to receive instructions from the Most High Power, our God, that he's given to Moses, right? And he's about to tell Moses something to do. Keep going.
Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Most High, your power, am holy.
Now, the instructions that the Most High God has given Moses is to tell us to tell blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, all of the nation of Israel, that we need to be holy, just like our God is holy. Now, can any one of you guess what the word holy means according to the Bible? Yeah, we're passing the mic, brother. What does the word holy mean according to the Bible?
Like,
Just speak. It's not on. All you gotta do is flip the switch on. Once the switch is up, then you're good. There you go. Now it's on.
so the word holy to me means like,
Not to you,
like
according to the Bible.
oh, like holy means like just like out. Just I'm just thinking about it.
Okay, no sweat, brother. He's passing you back the mic.
I just wanna think that I'm gonna say.
No sweat. Anyone else want to take a guess on what holy means according to the Bible? No? I can't hear you. No, the people that are online can hear you, but I'm right here and I can't hear you. All right, all you gotta do, just speak loud.
It was just, I think holy is just for them to just be good and just faithful, as in just good for themselves and others around them.
Okay. Now, if I asked you, what does the word metaphor mean? Is there a tool or something that you can reference to let me know or to give me the correct or the best definition of the word metaphor?
Yeah, metaphor basically means that there's like multiple words or also like multiple definitions that can mean up to one sentence or to like one word that you're specifically looking for.
Now, if I wanted to check if that was correct, what would I use to check if that was the correct definition?
The word of the Lord that's in the Bible.
No, the word metaphor.
Oh, metaphor.
If
Just
I wanted to check,
look up in the dictionary.
give that brother a hand. Whenever you don't know anything, it's always best to use a dictionary. And when we're speaking about the Bible, there's so many words in the Bible. There's so many people, names, places, things, types of food, types of animals, types of clothing, all types of things. And there is a dictionary for the Bible. So whenever you do get a chance, for everyone that's here in the room, everyone that's watching, I would strongly suggest purchasing a Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Right? I got mine, which is a soft cover, for about $15-20. You can buy a hardcover on Amazon, brand new or used, ranging in price. Right? But it should not exceed more than $60, if I'm not mistaken. All right. And now the reason why this is good is because this is a dictionary just for the Bible. All types of scholars from the decades and centuries or whatnot have come together to put the best and most accurate understandings of each word or any person, place, or thing that you will encounter in the Bible. So when I want to look up the word holy, I'll just flip through like a regular Bible and look up the word holy to give me a better understanding, right? So when I go to holiness or holy, right, it says usually a translated word is derived from a Hebrew root, quadash, right? The basic meaning of quadash, which is the Hebrew root word for holy, is separateness, withdrawal. So I'm understanding by this definition is that the word holy in Hebrew means quadash, which means separate, separateness, to set apart. It doesn't mean I got to be nice and clean and be good and have all types of morals like we are taught in the Christian or Catholic Church or the Protestant or Baptist or Episcopalian. It does not mean that. The word holy means separate, to be set apart. And here in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 2, Moses is telling us that God wants us to be separate. Now, what would we be separate from? Us as a nation, what would we be separate from? Say that again, sis.
Nationality.
I can't hear you.
Our nationality.
Well, we can't be separate to our nationality. We have to embrace our nationality, brother. Go ahead, brother.
It's like separate to like to be your own person, to have your own perspective on what you believe in.
Yes. So all of us, right? We're all Israelites, right?
Yes.
Who
Yes.
should we be separate from?
The other people that we don't get along with.
And they would be? Yes, give the sister a hand. She said the other nations, and that is absolutely correct. We need to be separate from the other nations because they're not Israelites. Hamites, they're not Israelites. That's why they're called Hamites. Edomites, they're not Israelites. That's why they're called Edomites. So on and so forth. So we have to be separate from them, which means we can't do what they do. We have to do what the Lord tells us to do. We can't eat what they eat. We have to eat what the Lord tells us to eat. We can't just dress however we want to dress and dress like how the white people dress or how Africans dress or how Asian people dress or Arabs. We have to dress according to how the Lord told us to dress, how our ancestors dressed while they were following and obeying the Lord. Okay? Read verse 4. Now we're going to learn what we should be holy from, what we should be separate from. Keep going. Verse 4.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 4. Turn ye not unto idols.
What?
Turn ye not unto idols,
Keep going.
nor make to yourselves molten gods.
What?
Nor make to yourselves molten gods. Salaki. I am the Most High, your power.
So right now we're learning that we should be separate. We should be holy. So we should not turn onto idols. We should not make molten gods, molten images, graven images. Can any one of you, whether online or here in the class, tell me what an idol is, or tell me what a image is?
From him repeating it twice, the word.
Go ahead, brother.
The idol means like to just focus on the main purpose, like you said, like to separate is just on your nation, on the others, and like how the way people dress, just the way how you're supposed to dress according to the Lord.
That's what an idol is. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Anyone else? No. So just like we did with the word holy, let's look up the word idol. All right. So when we go and look up the word idol, idol, right? It says see idolatry. So reference the word idolatry. It says idolatry in ancient times was a departure from the true religion, the worship of false gods, whether by means of images or otherwise. So what do you take? What is your understanding after hearing this definition?
like false god, like
False god. Okay.
Can you repeat? Oh, I was right.
Yeah, you're right. An idol is a false god. So if we're supposed to worship the Most High Power Yahweh, should we be worshiping Ra, the god of Egypt, or Horus, or Osiris, or Baal? Should we be worshiping the white Jesus, who we know as Caesar Borgia? Should we be worshiping who's the Pope right now? Should we be worshiping Pope Francis and kissing his hands and praying for him or to him? No. Should we be idolizing Jay-Z because he sells the most records? Or should we be idolizing Shakira and Beyonce because they look so beautiful while they sing songs and they shake their behind on television? No, we should not, right? Now, what about another word we're going to come into? What about images?
Probably from my perspective.
Go ahead, brother.
Like images, like there could be many ways of like many definitions of images. Like basically like the way you see people, how they act.
Okay.
Or like,
but think
like
about
in
it
the Bible,
terms of the
like in the Bible, like images basically mean like the way you dress or like the way you act towards the Lord.
Okay.
That kind of image.
Well, I'm on the page where it's telling me the word image, right? And it says see idolatry. So it's the same exact thing. False gods. Okay? So as you read the Bible, as you see and come across the words like idols or images or molted gods or graven images, just know that these are false gods. These are gods that we're not supposed to be worshiping. We're not supposed to be celebrating. We're not supposed to be praying to. We're not supposed to be serving. We're not supposed to be putting on our bureau like my abuela does with the crucifix. We're not supposed to be doing any of that stuff. All right? Go to Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1. Because today's class, which is the law class, is all about false gods, images, and stuff about idols, which we're going to learn today. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1. So we know that based on 19:4 that we should not turn on to idols. We shouldn't turn away from the Most High God and go towards the direction of these fake gods. We should not give our worship and our honor and our glory and our servitude to our God and give it onto something that's fake, that has no power, that is not real. We should not be turning into molten images, things that we can create out of gold or silver or iron. All right? Whenever you have Leviticus 26:1, you can read.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1. Ye shall make you no idols nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it, for I am the most high your power.
So right here, right, we're getting more instructions from Moses that he's receiving from the Most High God, right? It says, ye shall make no idols. So we should not be making false gods. We should not be having false gods that we hold dear to ourselves, nor graven image. A graven image is something that you carve out, whether it's carving it out of stone, out of plaster, making a mold of it, out of wood, out of marble, right? We should not be making a graven image. Neither rear you up a standing image. So we shouldn't make an image that we can stand up and it stays in place, or something that we can hang up, right? Neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land. And we shouldn't have any image that can be made out of stone or is stone that we worship as a god, that we would bow down onto it. Now, can anyone give me an example of an image of stone that is current to today's day and age where people go and bow down to it?
The Virgin Mary.
Yes, the Virgin Mary, because in the Catholic churches, you see a bunch of stone and marble sculptures of the Virgin Mary, or Joseph,
Jesus Christ,
or Caesar Borgia, who people think is Jesus Christ, or the Archangel Michael or Gabriel, right? Anything else?
About praying.
Huh?
Praying, like the way Catholics pray.
Well, we're not there yet. We're coming up with types of examples made of stone that people go and bow down to.
She said it, like most of it.
So we covered Catholicism, right?
Yeah.
What about the religion of Islam? No? Anyone want to take a guess of the stone image of Islam that people go and bow down to? No? Anyone want to answer? Abadia?
The Kaaba stone, sir?
The Kaaba stone. That big, giant, square stone that's in the middle of, I think, of Mecca, right? And people correlate that to Allah, that's their God, the Kaaba stone. That's an actual stone structure that they built around some fallen meteorite, where people of the Islamic faith have to go to at least once in their life, circle around it 7 times, bow down and pray towards it, kiss the stone, right? That's an example. What about an image that you stand up? You said some earlier with the statue of the Virgin Mary. But what's a
also
popular
like
one?
when you're like for Catholics, when they go to receive the body of Christ,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. The sister said the cross, and the cross is an image that it gets stood up, that people go to and they do that sign of the cross thing and they worship it, and it stands up big and tall for people to see, right? You see it at the top of almost every church you go by, and if you're a real devout Christian or Catholic, or even if you just grew up Christian or Catholic, you can't help but walk past the church and do the sign of the cross. You know the mic?
I just have a question as an outsider. If the
What do you mean
cross,
outsider?
like basically, like I'm just here to learn to see.
Okay. Well, you're not an outsider to us.
Oh.
You're a sister of ours.
Oh, sister.
You're just here for the first time to learn.
Oh, yes.
All right.
But as your sister, if the cross is for Christians to pray to, and that's what they worship, what are your symbols? Don't every religion has a symbol of their, what do they believe it is? As in, right, as your background, I see those stars. Are those symbols that you also pray, like, still value and also praise to? Is for, to me, is
Okay.
like a big symbol around here.
There's two questions that I got from all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is revolving religion.
Yes.
Right? Christians are part of what religion? Roman is a name of is a race of people. Romans. It's in the name Christian.
Christian isn't it Catholic? Christian.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's Christianity. That's the religion of Christians.
Mm-hmm.
The religion of Catholics is Catholicism, which is the same thing as Christianity, right? Muslims, they're part of what religion? What? Muslims are part of what religion? Brother? Islam, right? Someone who's a Buddhist, right, practices what religion? Buddhism, right? Someone that's a Hinduist is a person that practices the religion of Hinduism, right? Can anyone be a Christian?
If they believe they want to.
Right? Could anyone be a Catholic? No one, everyone. So being a Catholic is only for certain people?
Not everybody could like believe in Catholic because that's not what they believe in, and they feel
Well, that's
uncomfortable.
not what I'm asking. I'm asking, could anyone decide that they want to be a
Oh
Catholic?
yeah, because they have their own
Right?
they have their own opinion on how they feel and how they feel comfortable.
Now we just named some religions like Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, Buddhism, right?
Yeah.
And we associated certain people that believe in that religion, right? Like a Christian believes in Christianity. A Catholic believes in Catholicism.
Mhm.
A Muslim believes in Islam, right? What race of people are those? Exactly. A Christian is not a race. A Catholic is not a race. A Muslim is not a race. So that means any race of people, any person that belongs to any race of people can convert themselves to believe in that religion. It's for anyone and anybody who wants to believe in it, no matter what race you are, right? Now, Israelites are a race of people, right? Israelites are a race of people. You have all 12 tribes right here. You have the Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher. You have Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Zebulun. These are tribes of that race of people, one race of people. We don't have a religion because we don't practice Judaism, because Jewish people practice Judaism. Anyone can be Jewish. Can anyone be Puerto Rican? Can a Chinese man decide, you know what, I want to be Puerto Rican today? Right? Can an Arab decide, I'm born in Iraq, today I want to be Polish. I want to be someone from Poland. So everyone cannot be an Israelite. You have to be an Israelite because it's a race of people.
Depends on, like, if you grew up there, if you was born or raised there.
Well,
Like,
that's something separate. But just like, let's say your dad and mom are Puerto Rican. Well, that's a separate question that we can get onto a little later, right? But the simple answer is you are what your father is. That's just what determines your nationality, your ethnicity, your bloodline, according to God in the Bible. Not according to the way the world sees it, But according to God in the Bible, you are whatever your father is, and his father, and his father, and his father, going all the way back to the beginning of time, right? So Israelites, we don't have a religion. What we have is a culture. What we have is a heritage. What we have is a way of life. And what we have is a God that throughout the entire Bible has given us instructions, has given us blessings, has given us punishments for disobeying him, has saved us, has punished us, has told us what would happen if we did this, told us what would happen if we didn't do this. So Israelites, we don't have a religion. The real Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we never had a religion. We had a God that gave us laws to follow and obey. So Israelites can be Christian because, again, Christians is not a race of people. Any race can be a Christian. So Israelites, like myself growing up, I did not know who my father was or where he came from. I did not know he was an Israelite, although I was. And I was a Roman Catholic. My mom raised me to be Roman Catholic. You have brothers in here that were Episcopalian or that grew up in a household that practiced the religion of Islam. But at the end of the day, they were still Israelites who were just practicing and worshiping an idol, a graven image, a false god, like we were instructed not to by God. Now you said something about symbols, which was your second point, correct? An idol, right? Let me get a definition of an idol, right? I'm going on dictionary.com, or you can use Merriam-Webster's dictionary or Collegiate Scholar Dictionary, right? When I type in the word idol, it says an image or other material object representing a deity. A deity is a god to which religious worship is addressed. So an idol is an image that you associate with a god that you worship. Christians worship the cross. Christians worship the image of Jesus Christ because they think he's God. Muslims worship that Kaaba stone in Mecca because they think that's their God, Allah. Catholics worship the cross and Jesus Christ and all these other statues that they have in their big giant cathedrals because they think they're gods and they pray to them. They'll go to the corner, they put a quarter in, they flick a little light, the candle, the electricity in that candle pops up to imagine it as if it was a candle. They get on their knees and they pray to the statue that's there. They pray to so-called God. This symbol that you see right here that looks like a star, we don't worship. We don't pray to. I never get down on my knees and face this image and pray to God. Never. Now, a star, you said that this was a star. According to the Bible, a star is a ball of gas, is a circle in the sky. Now, the reason why people would think that this image is a star is because in today's day and age, we're all grown up wanting to get that gold star in kindergarten, wanting to make sure we hand in our homework, get all 10 questions in our spelling bee correct, so we can get that star and get a star put next to our name. And if we get 50 gold stars, we get a treat at the end of the month. But those are what people consider to be stars. This is not a star. Abadia in the scriptures. Can you get me the scripture where it says the circle of the stars? I think that's in the Apocrypha. So in the Bible, it tells you what a star is. This right here is a person's name that he turned into a symbol to represent his authority. And that was King David. If you decide to return and continue learning your culture and your heritage, every Friday we have Hebrew class where you learn ancient Hebrew. And in ancient Hebrew, King David's name, he has 3 letters or 3 symbols or pictograph images that represent his name. Da, wa, da. And both das, he cleverly decided to take both das would look like triangles, right? And he decided to invert them or flip them over each other which creates this image. You got one dial right here, and then another dial right here, which just is a symbol of his authority as king. So if I wrote you a letter, the way you know that that letter was official, the way you know that that letter was genuine and real, was I put my seal, my signature on it, which was the sign of, which was the shield of King David. When I walk around with this, I don't worship this. I don't want people to worship this, but you should know that I come in the authority of the king of my people, the king of our people, which would be Jesus Christ right now in the English, and the Hebrew Yahweh Shai Mashiach, because he sits on King David's throne. I don't come to worship this. I don't come to pray to this. I come in the authority, like I have the authority right now to teach you what's right, what's wrong, what's in the Bible, what people think is in the Bible, and what's not. Does that address both questions you had? Perfect. Abadi, you got that scripture?
Khan, Wisdom of Solomon 13:2.
Can you use the mic, Baba Kishan?
Khan, sir.
So, wisdom of, if you don't turn to this, just write it down if you can. It's called Wisdom of Solomon. That's the name of the book. Wisdom of Solomon.
Send the Apocrypha.
Right? Wisdom of Solomon, what chapter?
13:2.
Chapter 13. Wisdom of Solomon. Chapter 13, verse 2. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 2. And you can find this in the Apocrypha, which was removed from the Bible. Verse 2. Abadi, can you please read?
Wisdom of Solomon 13:2. But deemed either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of the stars.
So it talked about fire, it talked about water, it talked about the swift wind, and then it said what about the stars?
Or the circle of the stars.
The circle of the stars. We all know what stars are, right? Stars are up there in space. We can see them sometimes if we're fortunate enough in New York City, or if you ever leave New York City, like go to New York State, you might see the stars in the sky,
Right.
or you might go on Google and type in stars in the sky. Those are circles. From our eyes, we see circles. But when you Google it, what is a star? You'll find out that it is of a spheric shape, which is like a ball, and that it is a ball of gas. So when we look at it, it looks like a circle. Sometimes it might twinkle, right? And you might see it shine a little bit. But that's what a star is. A star is a ball of gas in the sky. Is in the shape of a circle from our eye. It's not this. I've never looked up into the sky and saw two triangles laid on top of each other. That's not what a star is. People like to say that this is the god of Molech or the star of Rephan, whatever that idol's name is. But nowhere in the Bible will it describe to you how the god of Molech or the star of Rephan looks. People just like to associate that with this image because they don't understand what they're reading. When you don't understand something, you can give a misconception of what it is. All right? You good on that?
Khan.
Thank you, Abadia.
Khan.
So let's get back to Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1. We just finished that. Let's now go to the book of Deuteronomy. All right? So go ahead, turn to the beginning, the first pages of your Bibles. Find Deuteronomy. See what page it's on. And you want to go to chapter 29. All right?
What verse, sir?
Chapter 29, verse 16. All right? Let me know when you guys get there. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 16. No sweat. Let's make sure they get it. All right. You got it, sister. You got it, or you still going there? Yep. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 16. All right, about you.
29. This is Deuteronomy 29:16. For ye know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which ye passed by.
So here God is telling us, right? We're learning that we should remember how we were living in the land of Egypt when we were in slavery. We should remember how our ancestors were treated when they left Egypt and were traveling in the wilderness trying to get to our holy land, our promised land that was given to us by God, right? Keep going, verse 17.
17. And ye have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them.
And we should remember that when we were slaves in Egypt, they had all types of gods. They had Horus, Isis, Osiris, Seth, Ra. Give me some more Egyptian gods. Amen, Ra. They had
right?
They had Geb and Jeb.
Yeah, Geb's the name. Yeah,
What's the one with the horse that looks like a dog? Anubis. They had all these different gods there, right? Yeah. When we left Egypt and we were getting to our own promised land, we passed other nations and they had their own gods like Baal and Nimrod, right? And Ishtar and what? And Ashtar, right? So when we were in Egypt in slavery and we were traveling to our land, we saw these abominations. We witnessed with our eyes. Some of us even probably worshiped their gods. We saw that their gods were made of wood, some that were made of stone, some that they made with pure silver. Some of these false images that were made out of pure gold, like the calf in the wilderness that we built in disrespect to our God. Right? Keep going, verse 18.
Verse 18. Lest there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turneth away this day from the Most High our power, to go and serve the powers of these nations. Lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood.
I feel bad and I feel sorry if any one of you in today's day and age know that you are an Israelite, know that you are only supposed to have one God, which is Yahweh, and you decide to turn your back on him and want to be a Christian and pray to a cross, or pray to Caesar Borgia, who people think is Jesus Christ, or want to be a Muslim and bow your head 5 times a day praying to some rock, or thinking that it's wise to go travel to Mecca and circle a rock 7 times, or think it's wise to fold your legs together and light incense and look at a fat Asian man and pray to Buddha. Right. I feel bad for you. Because if you did, right, keep going. Read where it says, lest there should be among you the root, the end of that verse.
Sir. Lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood.
What do you think gall and wormwood is? Give a brother a hand. He's going to search it up in the dictionary. All right. Let's type in the word gall, right? Gall. Gall. It says impudence, bile, that of an animal, something that's bitter or severe, bitterness of spirit, right? Let's type in wormwood. Wormwood, a bitter aromatic plant, something bitter, grievous, or extremely unpleasant. So I'm seeing the word bitter a lot. Something that's nasty, disgusting. So something that's unpleasantly, severely unpleasant. So if any one of you who decide that you want to be so bitter, so excessively displeasant for you to want to be disobedient enough to turn away from God, you gonna say something about you?
The biblical definition.
Go ahead.
Poison.
So if any one of you want to be like poison, right? Read verse 19.
Verse 19. And it come to pass when he heareth the words of this curse.
And when it comes to pass that when you hear that you're not supposed to worship these gods, when you're not supposed to turn your back on Yahweh, Keep going.
That he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace.
And you decide, you know what? It's okay. Nothing's going to happen to me if I want to worship Caesar Borgia. Nothing's going to happen to me if I want to circle a rock 7 times and kiss it at the end or in the beginning. Nothing's going to happen to me if I want to say because Yahweh is not going to do anything. I'm going to be okay. Keep going.
That he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of mine heart.
Although I do whatever I want to do, although I follow I make my own decisions, I go against the Lord and I want to worship these things. Although I do what I want to do, keep going.
To add drunkenness to thirst.
Basically, you're making bad decisions.
Right.
When you're thirsty, the last thing you should be doing is drinking alcohol. Right. Drink some water, rehydrate your body. Grab a Sprite, obey your thirst. You know, like that commercial used to say? The last Sprite remix. The last thing you want to do is take a shot of tequila. The last thing that you want to do is go drink a Long Island iced tea. The last thing you want to do is go drink a 6-pack of Corona. Because that's just making more unwise decisions if your body is dehydrated. Abadia?
It's like a lot of our people, when they get into bad situations, they want to turn to drugs.
Yes. Or like exactly just like that. When you're in a rough spot, when mom just died, when your dog just got ran over, when you lost your job, when you find out your baby girl was cheating on you and the baby's not even yours, you end up falling weak and making bad decisions, like becoming an alcoholic. I'll take one. Like turning to drugs and turning to crack, right?
Right.
Or smoking marijuana. Making these bad decisions. You think that following your own heart, your own lust, and thinking that nothing bad is going to happen to you. Because you bless yourself and say that you're going to walk in peace, right? Read verse 20.
Verse 20. The Most High will not spare him.
The what?
The Most High will not spare him.
What do you think spare means? S-P-A-R-E, spare. The Lord will not spare him. What do you think spare means?
Spare his faith to you?
Say again?
Like faith or his
like
blessings?
I'm going to spare you. Like
basically what spare means to me like I watch movies sword when they say spare that they're gonna slice you.
He's not gonna slice you?
No, that's what I see in the movies. That's what I think of spare.
Spare? Not a spear that you throw, but spare. S-P-A-R-E. Sis?
I think that spare is mostly
I can't hear you.
I think what spare is when mostly you, in a sense, do not forgive that person. It depends in what way.
You're on the point.
Yeah, when you forgive that person, or basically you
right?
spare, you forgive that person, basically forgiveness.
But let's look at what spare means, right? Spare means to refrain from harming or destroying, leave uninjured, forbear punishments, hurt or destroy. So if your child does something wrong, you should give him a spanking. You should whip that behind. They've been lying to you. They've been getting bad grades. I know. I remember once I came home with a bad report card. I literally put it under the sink, thinking my mom would not find it. However, my mom was already called by the teacher and was expecting my report card. And she beat my behind as I got the report card out of the kitchen sink underneath it. And while she was reading it, she did not spare me from that butt whipping, right? So it's saying here, when we go back, the Lord will not spare him. The Lord will not forgive you if you decide to go worship these idols and you know that you should not worship these idols and you say that nothing's bad going to happen to you if you decide to worship these idols. Do you guys understand? You decide that you're like, F God, I'm gonna worship this tree and nothing bad is going to happen because I'm blessing myself. God is going to destroy you. God will not spare you. Keep going.
But then the anger of the Most High and his jealousy shall smoke against that man.
Now, in the Lord's anger and in his jealousy, because he's jealous that you decide to give your love, your devotion to something that's not real. That's like me taking my Goku action figure and praying to my Goku action figure, or praying to my Superman toy, or praying to the money that I desperately want to get so much, when I should be giving all my love and devotion to God. So God is jealous that you even had that idea to take away his worship, his service that you should be rendering to him, and give it onto something that's nothing, something that has no power, something that cannot move on its own, something that cannot speak, something that cannot heal you from your wounds or make you better when you go through a hardship, and you decide to give all your love to that. So God is angered and jealous that you would even do something like that. Keep going.
Kano and Cancer. And all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him.
And all the curses, which is a curse, is not something that's pleasant.
Right.
And I'm not saying dropping the F-bomb or saying ass or the B word, right? I'm talking about you being punished by the Lord. That's a curse. That's what a curse is. It's the opposite of being blessed by the Lord. The Lord blesses us when we serve him. So we don't have to worry about COVID-19. We don't have to worry about not getting a job. We don't have to worry about food being on our table and our family eating, because the Lord blessed us with a brotherhood, with a sisterhood. The Lord blesses us by coming back to serve him. So we have food. We don't get sick from coronavirus. We don't lose our jobs. And if we do, we get a one that's better or more suited to serve the Lord. But when we get cursed, we lose our jobs and we don't get another one. Our family members, they get coronavirus and they die. Our children, they get shot down and killed in the street by police officers or crazy white men who think that you're a burglar instead of you just jogging.
Right.
These are the curses that fall upon us when we decide we want to deliberately, willfully, and purposely turn our backs against God and worship a cross. Worship a stone statue of the Virgin Mary. When we want to burn incense in front of a big fat golden or bronze Buddha, we get those curses put upon us. Keep going.
Kano and Cancer. That are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Most High shall blot out his name from under heaven.
What do you think it means for your name to be blotted out from under heaven?
I could say with the last part, heaven means like,
Go ahead.
like all the curses, basically all that's coming down towards you.
Yes. But what about your name being blotted out from heaven? Hold on, brother.
Your name being blocked out from heaven, meaning as in if you do decide to pray sometime, it won't be heard. Or if it's mostly like if you're going through a hard time and you need help, it wouldn't be heard. You would just suffer what you're going through for just betraying of what you should be following.
Okay. Want to give it another try?
Yeah. So like the blot out name, like basically like your name is not like good towards him, like he don't want to hear.
I can't hear you.
Like he doesn't want to like your name is not relevant to him. It's irrelevant.
Give him a hand. Your name is not relevant.
Right.
If I'm trying to get in, in a what's that club called? Latin Quarters, or if I want to go into Down Coqui, or if I want to go into 2020 or the 40/40 Club, if I want to get into, if I want to be on the VIP list to go see Dave Chappelle's newest stand-up, right? And I go there and my name is no longer on that list, I'm not relevant. There's no way I'm getting in. I mean nothing at that point. I can say, well, I'm so-and-so, but your name's not on the list. So what it means by blot out his name from under heaven is that God will eradicate you and erase you from history. You won't exist. You won't be relevant. You won't be around to enter the kingdom of heaven. It's like you never existed. It's like dust that flies in the wind after I sweep tonight. It's gone. It's gone with the wind. That is what blot out your name in heaven, under heaven. You no longer exist or matter to the Lord. You're completely gone. Understood? Read verse 21.
Verse 21. And the Most High shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel.
Now, what do you think that means? The Lord shall separate you unto evil from the tribes of Israel.
So like the first part, the first sentence about the Lord shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel. Basically, you're not irrelevant to heaven, but you're worth of going to hell. Basically,
Let me give you an example so you can better understand. There's 5 of us in here right now, right?
yes, sir.
There's people watching online, right? Out of all of us, let's say I'm gonna use that body for example. He does something evil, right? And I said, if we all behaved, we all get a cookie. Does Abadia get a cookie if he did something bad?
No, he does not. So
So
basically,
he gets separated from us that get cookies, correct?
oh, so basically, so what I'm like listening from that example is basically all the people that is doing good, that's like following, obeying the Lord's rules, and that one person that does something evil is basically not like valid to do what they do, like the good things that they do.
So that person that's doing this evil gets separated,
Yeah, separated
gets removed
basically
from everybody else.
or basically
Like when I used
removed.
to be bad and I used to get timeout,
Oh,
I used to be separated from everyone and had to go put my face against the corner while everyone else was having fun. I was separated from my misbehavior.
I had a question with that too, since that was
Give me one
brought
second.
up.
So because of this person's evil, because this person decides to worship fake gods, they get separated from the rest of Israel because of that
That's
evil.
what I was gonna say.
And the punishment that they will receive is evil.
Right.
Because they should never have done that in the first place. If they didn't do that, they wouldn't get evil, they would get blessings. They would get good things coming to them. You had a question?
I think you just answered it. I don't know if it was fully. So like, let's say, for example, somebody does something wrong, but they're on the evil side. So does that mean that they have to leave Israel and go to another nation, or they just stay at that nation?
In ancient times, when we deliberately did something wrong, when we disobeyed God, when we committed a sin, there are things that we had to do in order to be forgiven.
But now it's different.
So back in ancient times, we would have to sacrifice a goat, sacrifice a bull, sacrifice a male sheep, bring doves or pigeons to be sacrificed on the altar by the Levites. So an atonement can be made for our sins, so that way there can be peace or some type of reconciliation between us and our God.
It's basically like.
But we still got
chance.
punished. We still got punished for what we did. But the reason why we're making this sacrifice or making this offer is so we can be forgiven, even though we got punished. So we can be forgiven and hope, and the Lord will hope that we don't do it again. Keep going.
Oh, so basically, when they did something wrong, they basically had to do something like sacrifice something.
We had to make an atonement,
like.
or make it up to the Lord in form
Yeah.
of sacrificing something to Him.
So when they did that, does that mean like? But they still don't go like they're still on the evil. It's just that they still have to like get their trust up. So see like basically.
Well,
like,
the person is continually committing sins.
No. Basically, if that person did something wrong and he sacrifices, but he's not doing it no more, do they still have to like see, like if he's
So
still willing?
if I committed a sin,
Yeah.
right, in ancient times,
Yeah.
I made a sacrifice,
Yeah, but the person's not.
and
doing
I decided not to do that anymore.
Yeah, but they're not doing it. But would it take right away?
I'm not. So you mean? Let me just to make sure I understand you completely. All right. I commit a sin.
Mhm.
I get punished because I did that sin.
Yes, sir.
I go and I make an offering to God to be forgiven
Yes.
because I did something wrong.
Yes.
After that, I don't do that sin anymore.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
And you're asking what?
Like, would they be forgiven?
That's
like
what
that?
the atonement is for. It's for us to be forgiven by by God. Sis?
And if you sin again,
If you sin again, you would have to do this. You obviously think you learned your lesson the first time, so your punishment will be even worse. And if you wanted to be forgiven, you would make a sacrifice again. Now, let's say you sinned again. You didn't learn your punishment. You didn't learn from your last sin, so your punishment will be even worse. And let's say you gave a sacrifice, right? And let's say you sinned again. Can I get the scripture where it says, I will not, and it's in Genesis when the Lord is saying that he won't argue with us, or he won't, right? If you just keep sinning, even, let's say, right, I stole from my mom's wallet. She smacked me, gave me a beating, right? She forgave me. Next time I come home, I lie to my mom's face. She gives me a worse beating, right? Next time I come home and I hit my sister or I beat my sister up. I get a butt whipping beyond belief, and I get grounded for a week. Let's say I go and I smack my teacher in the face and I spit in my principal, right? When I get home, I get a beating while getting undressed. I get a beating while getting in the shower. I get a beating while I'm taking a shower. I get a beating while I'm putting my clothes on. I get a beating. This is from experience. I get a beating while I'm putting my pajamas on, and I get a beating while I'm getting in bed, and I get punished for 2 weeks. There comes a point in time where we're about to learn that the Lord will just decide to kill you because you don't learn your lesson.
Right.
He's not going to keep going back and forth with you. There comes a time when a parent has enough bullshit that their child is giving them and says, get out of my house. Don't come back.
Right.
Come back when you think you learn how to be a respectable son or a respectable daughter. Come back when you show some manners. Come back when you show some discipline. Don't come back to my house until you learn how to obey my rules in my house. With God, at a certain point, you're like, your name gets blotted out from under heaven. Abadia?
This is Genesis 6:3. And the Most High said, my spirit shall not always strive with men.
He says, my spirit will not always strive with man. I'm not going to keep going back and forth with you. I told you to do this. You're supposed to do this. You know you're supposed to do this, but you didn't do it. Okay, I forgive you. You do it again, or you do something like it again. I forgive you. You do it again, I forgive you. You do it again, I forgive you. Listen, it comes to a point in time where I'm not going to deal with your BS. I'm a God. I made heaven and earth. The air that you're breathing and you're going, I allow you to do that. You really think that I'm going to continue to disobey me? You really think that I'm going to allow and permit you to do all these things that I said not to do? The only way to solve that problem, the only way to solve that solution is to get rid of you. If I have an ant problem in my house, the only thing to solve that is to kill all the ants, to clog up all the holes that I think the ants are coming from, put bug spray all over the place so that way no more ants come, and then I don't no longer have an ant problem. You want to be a homosexual? You want to sleep with women and men from other nations? You want to pray to a white Jesus Christ? You want to bow down to the rock over in Mecca? After I told you not to do any of those things, listen, the easiest thing for me to do is to eliminate you. It's to make it as if you never existed. It is to blot your name from under heaven. And that's what happens when you continuously, consecutively, repetitiously decide to disobey God. At some point, he has enough. He's not going to what, Abadia?
And the Most High said, my spirit shall not always strive with men.
He's not going to go back and forth with you after he told you what to do. Just like a father or a mother is not going to go back and forth with their child. You're a child.
Right.
You came from my testicles. You came from, I held you in my stomach for 9 months. I feed you, I clothe you. I taught you your ABCs in English and Spanish and in Hebrew and in Creole, whatever other language you speak. I did these things. I'm not going to keep arguing with you. If I told you no, it's no. If I told you you can't have a cookie, you can't have a cookie. If I told you bedtime is 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I don't care if Rugrats is on at 8:30. You're going to bed now. I don't care if Invader Zim Jim is on right now or the Fairly Odd Parents is playing right now. You're going to bed now. And that's the end of discussion. Is that clear? Can we go back to Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 21? Read it when you got it.
Deuteronomy 29 and 21. And the Most High shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel.
So if you want to be that person to disobey God and worship idols, you're going to be separate from the rest of the nation, and you will get evils put on you. You will suffer evils. You will be punished. Keep going.
According to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law.
And we can find all these curses that you will be punished with in this Bible. You can flip through these pages and you can find curses that befell our people for disobeying God, going into slavery, getting our land taken from us, having our children stolen and sold, us being murdered and slaughtered, us killing our own children. You can find all this in the Bible as our curses when we disobey God. Verse 22.
22. So that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the stranger that shall come from a far land shall say when they see the plagues of that land and the sicknesses which the Most High hath laid upon it.
And these evils, this punishment will be so drastic that generations from now, our people, whether they're a stranger, whether they didn't know they were Israelites and now coming back, or whether they were Israelites and they lived on the other side of the world and they came back and we all see this land and they say, wow, no trees grow here. There's no grass that comes here. All these buildings are destroyed. The person was standing here and now is a pillar of salt. They see all this destruction and they wonder, wow, what happened here? Keep going.
23. And that the whole land thereof is brimstone and salt and burning, that is not sown, nor beareth, nor any grass groweth therein, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which the Most High overthrew in his anger and in his wrath.
Does anyone know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? Have you ever heard of Sodom and Gomorrah? No? Brother?
The story of Sodom and Gomorrah was a land of sin where they was just doing anything they wanted to do. And Lot was in there with his family. The Most High, Lot was a righteous man. Most High told him to go and flee. And he told him when he runs to the mountains, don't look back. And his wife turned back and turned into salt.
So basically what happened with Sodom and Gomorrah and these other cities was that homosexuality was running rampant.
Right.
Bestiality, lesbianism. It was just cities that were just full of sin. They were doing whatever they want. They were doing everything that God said not to do, right? And so what happened was God decided to destroy it by having asteroids and brimstone and fire come down to level the place.
Right.
Has anyone ever read what happens when an atomic bomb lands? Or has everyone ever seen what happens when an atomic bomb lands on someplace?
I don't know if it's similar.
A nuke?
Yeah, like a nuke. Like basically, if a nuke falls, like basically it destroys the whole.
Yeah, it destroys everything. Everything gets wiped out.
Right.
Everything gets destroyed. No grass is left. Buildings are turned into pebbles. So that's what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah and these other places because of their sin. So right here is saying that us, if we decide to turn away from the God and willfully pray to these idols, we're going to be wiped out. It's going to be destroyed, desolate. Future generations from now are going to come back and say, wow, it's a complete desert. It used to be Central Park with all the grass and the trees and the birds chirping and the fish in the pond and the turtles coming up for air every now and then. All that is gone, destroyed, a wasteland. Make sense? And that is because the Lord's anger and wrath fell upon it, because we decided to keep sinning and keep sinning and keep sinning. And at one point in time, God said he's not going to strive with man, so he will blot out your name from heaven. Make sense? Any questions so far? No? Let's go to verse 24, Baba Gashan.
24. Even all nations shall say, wherefore hath the Most High done thus unto this land? What meaneth the heat of this great anger?
So not only will our future descendants say what happened here, but the other races of people will ask, what the hell happened here? What happened here? Why did the Lord do this? Keep going, verse 25.
25. Then men shall say, because I have forsaken the covenant of the Most High power of their fathers.
And we will tell these other Israelites, and we will tell these other nations of people, the reason why this happened, the reason why God did this, is because somewhere down the line, one of our ancestors or some of our ancestors decided to break the covenant that God made with them, that God made with our forefathers. Someone or some people decided to go against God, to just desperately and deliberately commit sin time and time again. Keep going.
Which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt.
Keep going.
26. For they went and served other powers.
What?
Other powers.
They went and served other powers, other gods. They went to serve idols. They went to serve graven images. They went to serve false gods. Keep going.
Yeah, Khan. Whom they knew not,
no,
and whom
and worship.
Oh, Salakia. And worship them.
And they worshiped them. They went and put candles underneath their feet. They went and put palm leaves over the big giant crucifix. They went to go circle the big rock in Mecca and kiss it. They went to put incense in front of the big fat Buddha, right? Keep going.
Khan. Gods whom they knew not, and whom he had not given unto them.
Our ancestors went to go worship a God that they didn't know.
Right.
They didn't really know. Because one, it wasn't their God in the first place. And two, how can you know something that's not real?
Right.
And on top of that, our God didn't give us those fake gods to worship. Make sense? Keep going.
27. And the anger of the Most High was kindled against this land, to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book.
And because we were so disobedient and wicked and full of sin, the Lord brought all his anger and all his wrath on this land. He brought all the curses that he said will happen if you disobey him on this land, onto our ancestors. And that is why the land is destroyed. Keep going.
28. And the Most High rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation.
And because of this, the Lord decided the ones that he didn't kill, he was going to root out. He's going to take away, remove. Keep going.
And cast them into another land.
And put them into another land. Keep going.
As it is this day.
Just like it is today. Why are blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in the Americas? Sis?
Because the Europeans dragged the other race to America. And first of all, there were Indians here too, so they also push them away from their own house and they just force themselves in there.
Correct. The reason why we were rooted out and cast into another land is because we were disobedient.
Right.
This is talking about us going into slavery. Now, the Native Americans, they sailed here from the Middle East
Right.
after being enslaved by King Shalmaneser of Assyria. Because we were disobedient back then, our one nation was split into two. Because we still were disobedient, one of those parts was taken into slavery. The other part was taken into slavery at another time. Native Americans and so-called Hispanics came here and lived here for some time. Then Africans hunted our brothers in Africa, sold them to Europeans, and brought them here. Caucasians came over here, enslaved the so-called Hispanics, and enslaved the so-called Native Americans, right with the so-called Negroes. And we are all scattered in this land, and we were all slaves together, just like it is today. We are slaves here in America, although we don't have physical chains, although we don't have physical iron face masks stopping us from eating when we went to go pick cotton, or when we went to go cut down sugar canes in Dominican Republic or in Cuba, right? Or in Haiti or in Jamaica. However, we still are slaves. We're given a social security number. We're tracked and monitored and policed by a law enforcement system that was created by our oppressors, who were the olden days known as slave catchers, slave hunters. And now they wear blue uniform or a brown and a tan and brown uniform, depending on where you are, or a navy blue or black uniform, depending on what state you're in. And those are our modern day slave catchers. They police us. We're still slaves. You cannot leave America unless you apply for a passport. You have to be approved with a passport. If not, you end up trying to leave America illegally, which would be a crime, or you try to enter America illegally, which would be a crime. That's why so many of our brothers south of the Texas border, they're called illegal immigrants, and they get deported because they're here illegally. We're still slaves. We can't roam wherever we want to roam. The Cherokees and the Iroquois used to own this land and walk freely. The Seminole Indians down in the South in Florida, they used to roam freely. The Taino Indians and the Carib Indians down in the Caribbean, they used to sail their long boats freely across the Caribbean Sea. Now we can't do that. We have to get approval to cross an imaginary line that they call a border that separates Venezuela from Cuba, that separates Ecuador from Peru, from Brazil, that separates New York from New Jersey. Okay, let's drop. Any questions on this? No? Brother?
No question, but I was just gonna add on if I may.
Go ahead.
Like, you in this land right now, you gotta get approved for everything. If you got a job, you get a degree. Somebody better say you know what you say you know before you give it.
Correct. You said, brother?
Yeah.
You also gotta get approved of, like, let's say, like food stamps, like benefits.
Food stamps. You got to go to your slave master and beg him to give you $90 a month, $152 a month, $300 a month on food stamps so you can eat.
Just like a perfect example too with the stimulus check.
Stimulus check.
You gotta get it. You gotta get approved by IRS.
You got to file taxes. You had to be identified as a citizen here. I remember reading an article that I think might have been overturned, where it said that any U.S. citizen that married an immigrant would not be getting this stimulus check. And I think that got overturned.
If I may, the new bill they're introducing is trying to overturn that.
It's trying to overturn it. Okay.
Trying to overturn it now. Also, if I may, they're also trying to fix the child support stipulation as well.
Listen,
And
if you are a father and you're no longer with the baby mother and you're on child support and you're working two jobs, and at the end of the day, all you get from your jobs is $300 to pay rent, to pay electricity, to pay food. Because it's not really going to that child, it's going to that woman who's going to use it however she wants to use it.
Because
That's slavery.
Because I was told also, like, let's say, like, if you break up, like, if you're not together, you and your baby moms too, and let's say the house you buy or a car you buy, basically the house is not yours. It's basically hers.
To be taken care of you, but in a sense, it's just taking care of her,
'Cause
even though you're separated.
I just
But
want
you're
to ask you.
actually just paying her, which you're her child, which in a way she runs you, so that's why she has to waste the money because you're still young in a sense. But yeah, it's still not fair.
You know?
I don't know if this is true, but like I was told, but like,
Can you speak up?
oh, I was told, like, let's say if you and your baby mom get divorced, right, and she wants to keep the house, and you have like argument, basically, the real person that can keep the house 75% is gonna be the woman, not the man.
Well,
Is that true?
when you get divorced, there's something called alimony, and you end up splitting the wealth or the assets that are owned under your union that you had.
Yeah, but
So,
I don't know if it
A
was
lot
like
of the
that.
times, many of it goes to the women.
Yeah.
Hold on one second, Abadia.
I was just gonna say, what's called another thing about stimulus. Also, a lot of people the first round were having a problem, like debt collectors, like Jake owed money to whoever. Debt collectors was taking that money; they're getting rid of that. And also, as for what he was saying about alimony, what's called women are finding out now that's a double-edged sword because now a lot of broke cats is able to get money off their women. Like even Cardi B, right when her and Offset were having trouble, people were doing the reporting and they said technically Cardi B wasn't famous when she got married to Offset, so technically Offset could end up with a lot of Cardi B's money after a divorce.
Because Cardi B is making way more than Offset.
So, like, if I may, it's usually because women have more to sell. It's easier to get a woman's face on a perfume and get hundreds of women to buy it than to get a man to do it.
Unless you're a genius like Jay-Z,
right,
or P Diddy,
right,
where you're worth more than any woman that could possibly be with you.
Right. So, like, if I may, only one who got away with it is Nelly with his apple bottoms.
Sis, you had a question?
I just want to since y'all was talking since it was like a split moment of talking about marriage, is there a certain way is there a way we get married, our brothers and sisters? Is there a certain type of tradition we get
Yes.
married?
There is, and I'll give you a quick answer because that's a good question for another class. When a brother and a sister end up wanting to get married, our tradition was that man would go to that girl's father, ask that father, inquire about his daughter, ask him, I would like to marry your daughter, or I want your daughter to be my wife. The father would say yes, or the father would say no. If the father would say yes, there's something called a dowry, which is a payment. I believe in the biblical age, it was 50 shekels. Standard. That means a father would ask for a minimum of 50 shekels. So that way you can have the ability to marry his daughter. Or if his daughter was extremely beautiful, or if his daughter knew how to sew, knew how to cook, was intelligent, was good with money, can balance the books in the house, can run a household, knew how to best grow food, how to best make dresses, how to make more money than you can possibly imagine, the father would say, my daughter has all these skills. She's virtuous. She knows how she can make any man increase. She can add anything to a man. She's worth more than just 50 shekels. She's worth a house. She's worth 3 horses. She's worth a bag of rubies. She's worth a bag of diamonds. She's worth 3 bags of gold coins. That's what I need for my daughter, because my daughter, I've trained her so well that she can do all these things. Why would I want to let my daughter go when she gives me such joy? She brings me such honor. So they will come on an agreed upon dowry. Then there will be invitations that get sent out, like regular marriage. You send it to your aunt over here. You send it to your homeboy down the street. Listen, I'm getting married. Listen, I'm getting married. Listen, I'm getting married. Everyone comes for the wedding ceremony, where the father gives his daughter, who he loves and raised since she was a girl, to this man. There's a big party. Everyone's drinking. Everyone's eating lamb and goats and cows and chickens, having a big barbecue. And then it comes a point in time during that day where that man and that woman will go into their tent, will go into their new house and consummate, seal their marriage by having sex. Now, when this happens, because this is the first time that that woman has ever been with a man, her hymen breaks, she bleeds a little. Once they're done having their intimate moment, that bloody blanket is brought out and given to the father. So he knows that he gave this man a woman that has never been touched, that he cannot go back on his deal because I have this bed sheet that you sealed the deal with. That's one way. Now, if the father said no, right? You can be like many brothers and sisters who find a sister or find a brother that they really like. And if the father said no, or if there's no father, or they didn't ask permission, they decide they want to be with each other. Like Joseph and Mary. Joseph knew that he had to go to Mary's father or her or the male figure in her life that was raising her and ask for permission. They were espoused, meaning they were promised to be engaged. So they were going through the process of inviting people, coming to the wedding. Listen, we're going to get married on this day. But God didn't want Joseph and Mary to wait. So they end up having sex before Mary was given by her uncle or her father or the male figure in her life to Joseph. So those are the two ways that marriage normally happened in our custom traditionally. You asked the father, he gave you permission, there was a wedding, there was sex that sealed the deal, or you went and just had sex with the woman, or you had sex with that man and that became your husband. But the whole idea of marriage, the way you know you are married to a woman or the way you know you are married to a man is through the act of sex. That intimate and sacred act that you two do with each other seals you two both together forever, because you're supposed to be with each other forever. That's marriage just in a quick nutshell. Abad, you want to say something?
I was just going to say one way General Muhammad says is what's called, marriage is forever, is because you can be with in the case of Joseph and Mary, one action can cost you at least 18 years of your life. And another one, Salakia, the second one, you be with that woman or you be with that man and you get something you can never give back for the rest of your life.
Which is your virginity.
Well, Salakia, he was talking about an STD or I.
Oh, that's the worst case scenario.
Right.
So women, close your legs. Men, keep it in your pants until you find someone that you want to be with for the rest of your life. All right? What time is it? You got 20 minutes left.
So basically.
All right, let's go to the book of First Chronicles. So First Chronicles chapter 16. So if you go to the beginning of your book, you're gonna see a name called Chronicles. You're gonna see one Chronicles, and you're gonna see two Chronicles. You want to go to the one that says one Chronicles. First Chronicles, chapter 16, verse 25. Wait till they get it. First, one Chronicle, not two, but the one. Chapter 16, verse 25. Sis, let me know when you got it, all right? Got it?
First Chronicles chapter 16, verse 25. For great is the Most High, and greatly to be praised. He also is to be feared above all gods.
Because the Lord is great.
That's right.
Magnificent, righteous. There's no contradiction with him. There's nothing flawed about him. Every decision he makes is perfect. Everything he does is perfect, right? And he deserves to be praised. He deserves to be served, because who else has the ability to create water?
Right.
Who else has the ability to create something called earth? Who else has the ability to make single-celled organisms and multi-celled complex beings as us right now, where we're talking? Who else can do that? No one. And that is why he is also to be feared above all gods. Because as we learned already, every other god is fake. That cross has no power. That rock has no power. So he should be feared because he can do all these things. That the statue of the Virgin Mary, she can't do anything. You praying to her is not gonna make your grandmother come back from the dead. You praying to Allah and going and kissing that rock is not going to stop your dad from being a drug addict and not being in your life for the past 25 years.
Right.
They're not going to do any of those things. But God can make it possible where your dad finally realizes that crack cocaine, selling cocaine, being addicted to heroin is ruining his life, and the one thing that gives him the most joy, which is you, is missing from his life, and he can change. Your mom, who goes out and sells her body and does whatever she wants to do, she can change and decide that you are more important than getting her fix. Your dad, when he comes home from prison, he can decide that raising you and seeing you get what you get and survive in life is more important than him robbing some other person or selling some drugs and going back to jail for another 5 to 10 years minimum.
Right.
The Lord can make these things possible. The Lord can decide to change a person's mind, which is their heart, not the thing that pumps blood in your body, but your heart, which is your mind. He can change that person's mind to do the right thing. Right? Read verse 26.
For all the gods of the people are idols.
For what?
For all the gods of the people are idols.
So all the gods of the Africans, of the Egyptians, of the Ethiopians, of the Wakandans from Marvel's Infinity Wars, whatever. All the gods of the people from Ghana, from Nigeria, they're what?
Are idols.
All the gods that you find in Asia, the Taiwanese Buddha, the Buddha from Thailand, the Buddha from China, the Buddha from Korea, they're all what?
Are idols.
People who worship Hindu.
Idols.
And are what?
Idols.
They want to worship, they say that a cow is a god, but that cow is what?
Idols.
They don't want to kill that cow over in India because they think it's a god, but it's actually what?
Idols.
It's idols. And what are idols? False gods. They're fake. They have no power. Keep going.
But the Most High made the heavens.
The Most High did what?
Made the heavens.
God made the heavens. The statue of the Virgin Mary, she didn't create the heavens. Right. Caesar Borgia hanging on the cross, he didn't make the heavens. Allah didn't make the heavens. Listen, no other God that you can think of, no other idol that you can think of can make a strain of grass grow. Right. Not one of them. Let's drop that and let's go to the book of Psalms. So turn to the front of your pages again. Go to the context or the index and look up, find the word Psalms, Psalms, Psalms. It's in the Old Testament. And you want to go to chapter 106.
Chapter
106. Can you give me a bottle of water, Baba Kashan? Does anyone want a bottle of water? 1, 2. You want a bottle of water?
Okay.
So get me a bottle of water and them to a bottle of water and yourself, of course. The book of Psalms, right? Chapter 106. The book of Psalms, chapter 106. Leave that, just finish doing what you're doing, and then you can fix all that stuff, all right? Psalms chapter 106.
Psalms. Chapter 106.
The water. Chapter 106, verse 34. No, leave it there. Wait till the end of class. Just lay them down. Just be mindful not to step on them.
106 and
34. Sis, you got it? Brother in the back, you got it? Read.
Psalms chapter 106, verse 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Most High commanded them.
Now, what do you think this is talking about? It's saying they did not destroy the nations whom the Lord commanded them. Verse 34. Anyone want to take a guess?
So what they mean about they did not destroy the nations. Basically, they did not do nothing wrong to that nation.
Nope. They were supposed to do something to that nation, which they didn't do. Brother?
That they didn't follow God's commandment. He told them to do something and they ignored it. He told them
Correct.
to destroy them people and they did what they wanted to do.
God told us, I believe a few times, that when we went into this particular land, the people in that land, we were supposed to kill.
Right.
We were supposed to destroy them, destroy their cows, destroy their houses, destroy their false gods. We're supposed to destroy this nation of people, eradicate them, obliterate them, drop a nuke on them, right? Until there was none left, which is what the Lord told us to do. Next verse.
But were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
But we decided not to obey God, right? We, instead of destroying these people, instead of getting rid of these Africans living in this land, instead of getting rid of these white people living in this land, instead of getting rid of these Arabs or Asians living in this land, we decided to just live amongst them. We decided to have our children go to school with them. We decided to be business owners together and own a supermarket together.
Right.
We decided to learn the things that they do, right? Keep going.
And they served their idols.
What?
And they served their idols.
Since we were living amongst them, since we were learning the things that they did, we ended up doing what?
Served their idols.
We ended up serving their idols. We ended up doing exactly what God had been telling us not to do all the way from the beginning. We turned our backs on God and decided to worship a piece of wood, a carving statue of a goat with a human head. We decided to pray to Horus, the Egyptian god of flight, or some crap like that. We decided to worship Buddha.
Right.
Keep going.
Which were a snare unto them.
What do you think a snare is? We decided to worship these fake gods, and these fake gods became a snare onto us. No. What should we do if we don't know a word? Let's look it up, right? Snare. S-N-A-R-E. Snare. A device often consisting of a noose for capturing small game. Anything serving to trap or entangle unawares. Trap. To catch with a snare or entangle. To catch or involve by trickery. So a snare is a trap.
Right.
Us serving these gods was setting us up. Imagine you're walking down the street, you step off the side of the road, and you fall into a hole, but it looked like there wasn't any hole.
Right.
You guys seen those old cartoons where they're running in the jungle and it looks like a pile of leaves and they step on the pile of leaves and they fall into the big hole? That's a snare. You running away from Freddy Krueger or whatnot, and you step on something and then a rope catches your legs and you go flinging upside down, hanging from the trees. That's a snare. That's a trap. Serving these gods was a trap for us. Keep going.
They sacrificed their sons and daughters unto devils.
By serving these gods, we ended up sacrificing our own children to devils. Read the next verse.
And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and their daughters.
We killed innocent people. We murdered our own children for these gods.
Right.
When we weren't supposed to ever serve these gods. You see the wickedness when we start serving other gods, we just end up doing worse and worse things. We serve a fake God, and then we end up eating swine and pork, like in the Catholic Church,
Right.
and the Christian Church. We serve these fake gods, and we end up killing our own children and thinking that's what we're supposed to do for this rock and earth god and the god of the wind and the god of the sun and the god of the moon and the stars, right?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood.
And so because we followed after these fake gods, we polluted the land with the blood of the innocent. So that means me serving a false god, I killed my son and his blood is stained right here in this spot in this land. You decide to kill your own mom for this fake god, her blood stains right there where her body was. Blood is all over on that land. The entire land was polluted with blood for us sacrificing innocent people and us sacrificing our children to these fake gods. Keep going.
Verse 39. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a whoring with their own inventions.
So we corrupted ourselves by serving these gods. We corrupted ourselves by that, thinking that just the thought that it's okay for us to serve this fake god, it corrupted us. We went whoring. We basically sold out. We basically betrayed God by thinking that we should serve these gods and then actually going to serve these gods. Make sense? Next verse.
Therefore was the wrath of the Most High kindled against his people, in so much that he abhorred his own inheritance.
So the Lord, like we learned in previous verses and chapters and books, the Lord became angry. And what does the Lord do when he gets angry? He puts the curses that are in this book on you, and you are destroyed. Whether it's destroyed mentally, whether it's destroyed physically, or whether it's actual death. Keep going.
And he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them.
And so, because we did all of this, God made us to be slaves, put us in the position to be slaves to these other nations that we decided that we want to worship their gods. And these other nations who hated us, they hated us because we had a real God. They hated us because we were powerful. They hated us because God allowed us to rule and dominate. They hated us for that. And now they get to rule over us. Keep going.
Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand.
And these enemies of ours, these Africans that hate us, the white man that hates us, the Asians that hate us, they oppressed us. They made us work in the coal mines. They made us work in the sugar canes in Haiti and in Cuba. They made us dig for diamonds and rubies in Brazil and in Ecuador. They made us slaves and work the cotton fields. They made us dig up gold in Mexico. They enslaved us. They ruled over us, and we had to obey them because they were over us. All right? So I'm going to end the class here. This is the Wednesday class, law class, and today was all about false gods, all about graven images, all about idols. So for all the brothers and sisters that are watching online, Shalom Yahweh B'Shem Yeshai B'Gatam to the brothers, Yahweh Shemar Latam B'Shem Yeshai to the sisters. I'm going to end the live stream now and put in the sign out sheet for attendance. Make sure you all sign out. All right. And I'll see you next Wednesday when we continue with part 2 with idols, graven with false gods, graven images, and idols. All right. Shalom. So for everyone that is here, we're ending